Okay. Hello, everyone. Dr. Shirley here. I am so excited to be here. As you know, I've been doing my segment on being Black in Virginia. Black History Month is not just in February. We really should be getting to know more about other people, other diversities, other races, and so forth. And right now, I'm going to be focused on what it's like being Black. As a Black Hispanic, there's a lot that we face. There's a lot I face. And so I wanted to bring in some of my friends and some of the people that I know that can talk about what their experiences are about being Black in Virginia. Right now, I have a good old friend of mine, King Robinson. King, go ahead and say hello and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is King Robinson, and I am from Chesapeake, Virginia. I am an old friend of Shirley, PA. We came up ever since elementary, red light, green light, that type of thing, all the way through junior high and high school. And we also grew up in the same neighborhood, which is called Camelot in Chesapeake, Virginia, the 2233 zip code down in the Tidewater area. And that's about it.
All right, wonderful. And so, King, you and I have had some intense conversations about, politics, the world, and even raising children and relationships. And I know one thing I've always appreciated about you is your candid and your frankness and your straight up attitude with me. And I think that's something we have in common is we can tell it like it is and no judgment. No
Right.
judgment being passed on each other. And it's rare that you got friends that will tell it like it is and be straight up. And you've known some of the struggles I faced, from being divorced and, relationships and so forth, or even raising children. And we've talked about race sometimes. And wanted to ask you, do you believe there is an issue with race in Virginia? We both grew up in Chesapeake. What do you think?
Yes, I believe that there is an issue with race everywhere you go. Just some places um, you will see a larger volume of it than others. But I believe that it has been here since the beginning of time and not necessarily towards brown, beige, black people. I hate using the term African American for the simple fact that they don't call Caucasians European Americans.
Tell the truth.
Just simple. So I like Nubian. I haven't really came up with what I think that we should call people like ourselves that have color, melanin, and things of that nature. But the African American thing, and I know that we agreed to it. When I say we, not me and you, but whoever was speaking for us at the time, um, it's been many different names that we've taken on as a race. Um, the strong N word with the ER on the end, um, colored, um, Negro, Negroids, and now African American. Um, it's crazy how history wants to shut us out. And in all actuality, we were the very ones who did all of the groundwork to build this country. So to fill out any type of paperwork, whether it be a job application or going to the doctor and filling out your paperwork before the doctor sees you, there's always something there saying, are you African American? Are you white? Are you other? Are you Hispanic? What difference does that make? Like, I'm a person, sometimes I don't even check the box. Like, what difference does that make? You'll see what I am when I get there. So, I mean, to do it at the doctor, what does that mean? You're going to give me a different type of, you're going to give me different types of meds than you would give a Caucasian or a Hispanic? Is there a certain routine for someone who looks like me, someone who looks like you, or someone with melanin and has color? I don't know, it's just, it's mind-boggling, but it means something. When they say, oh, it doesn't mean anything, yes, it does. Because you're asking. So that's why it means something. If it didn't mean anything, that wouldn't be on the application. So.
Now, what would you say to those people that say, well, you know, it's data. We have to collect data to make sure that we're treating people fairly, people of all races fairly. What would you say about that?
For one thing, when it comes to treating a human being fairly, it should not be judged on color, nationality. If I'm a person that's going to the doctors, I should just be treated as a person. It shouldn't matter if I'm what they call us, African American, Black, colored, it shouldn't matter. So, like you said in the beginning, I'm gonna call it straight, it's BS. It's BS. And a lot of this, you know, me and you growing up and going to the same high school and experience what we've experienced, when I look back, I didn't see it. Like when I was going to Deep Creek High School with you and Deep Creek Junior High and Camelot Elementary, I didn't see any prejudice amongst teachers or administrators. I couldn't see it. I thought me and my family living out Camelot was rich. I had a great childhood, but looking back on some things and talking to some classmates, I had a long conversation with Arthur Jemison, AJ, and he pulled my shirt collar to some things that were happening that we just didn't see. And when I thought about it, I was like, okay, you know, I'm not going to get into detail, but I just didn't really recognize it until I went out into the work field. I became grown, had to grow up, become independent, and go out and take care of some responsibilities. Then you start rubbing elbows with employers. Mm-hmm. And, you know, then you see things on TV, you see it on the news. You start to recognize it in different industries, the music industry, politics. You've seen a whole lot of it the previous past 4 years. Mm-hmm. You know, so with that, yeah, things have gotten better in a sense since the civil rights movement. Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, all of the great prestigious leaders that we've had. Things have gotten better, but like I told you, I had to reflect and go back and say, wow, AJ, you're right, that was happening, but I didn't see it. It's the same thing today. You know, we really didn't get a heavy dose of how people really felt until Trump came in office. Then all of those people who you seen out on the street acting accordingly, like they, you know, like they had sense and, you know, like they mature people, how whites would treat us. We found out how they really felt. Some of them. Do I believe that all Caucasian people are evil, devils, this, that, and the other? No, because there are some colored people that are evil and that are devils. I want to believe that there's two different types of people, no matter what color, nationality, or creed, and that's Black, and that's good and that's bad. But different people, different criterias, different nationalities, different races. You have good and bad in all. But this country was built on certain things that cannot be denied. They can try to cover it, but it can't be denied because of people like me and you who know. Now, this new generation is more in the dark. You remember when we came up and we seen Roots?
Mm-hmm.
We had
Absolutely.
Was that junior high or elementary for us? When did Roots come out?
I want to say it probably was more so junior high.
Right.
That's what, but you know, my memory hasn't been all that good. So
right.
I'm going to say probably junior high.
Right. Well, I think that these kids, here's where we're falling short. We're not passing the information down. Mm-hmm. In the movie Roots itself, the character who played Kunta Kinte when Kunta Kinte was older was John Amos, which was James on Good Times, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know if you recall, but I do vividly. In the series of Roots, James passed down information to his grandchildren.
Yes, he did.
From right?
That is correct.
He let them know where they came from, what tribe they came from, who were their forefathers, like great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, things of that nature. We as Black people, I think the communication stopped. Because
why would you say that?
Because even myself, I'm 50 years old now, and don't get this twisted, because I don't blame it on society, and I'm not sitting here bashing Caucasians and saying this is why. I really think that we need to do more research on who we are. We need to use the material that is now available to us to learn about us, because so many different races and nationalities know about themselves. The Italians, Jewish, Latino. I could go on and on, but we don't seem to know who we are.
Would you say that it has to go back all the way to the slavery days when they prohibited Blacks from knowing their history, or prohibited Blacks from studying or really communicating with each other, but more so caused a divide, you know, taking the Black men out of the family, selling the Black man, and then breaking him down so that way he is not a threat, as well as separating the women, you know, the strong women in the family, just tearing that whole unit. What would you say is really the cause of the Blacks not passing down information? Because when I look back and I think of certain things, I know my roots, my family being of Haitian descent, first generation. And like you said, we grew up in Camelot. I didn't see many people that look like me. And so even though I know you did not experience much racism, I felt as if the minute I came into Camelot, I felt a lot of racism from the time as a child. And I did not feel like I belonged. You know, and so I grew up starting to wonder, well, what is wrong here? And always had that question. And so going back to, well, why do you think that our people, the Black people in Virginia, do not necessarily pass down the information to their children to keep that legacy going on, to make sure the youth are stronger in understanding the importance of uniting, the importance of education, the importance of, hey, you got to unite. instead of killing each other, fighting each other? What would you say is the issue?
Well, for one thing, we definitely have to stop blaming it on other people, because I believe that we have the power as Black people to turn it around. As long as we have breath in our lungs and we're not incarcerated, and yeah, as long as we got breath in our lungs and we're not incarcerated, we're so-called free. And I say so-called for a reason. We have a chance to turn it around, but it's like we don't plan how other people plan. I believe other people plan in 50-year increments, which means I believe that what's going on today was planned over 50 years ago. We plan, or we start planning, when we run into a rut. Somebody gets shot, unarmed, oh, let's plan a march. Oh, let's do this, let's do that. Okay, we plan every 30 minutes. And then do we follow it through? No. Because I believe everybody's caught up in this matrix. Everybody's self-conscious of themselves. Even me. I like to look nice. I like to stay groomed. That's always been my thing, and I'm quite sure that you have people who don't really care about fashion or vanity as much. But let's just say this. When you look good, you feel better. If you feel better, you'll perform better. And whatever your tasks are within the day, the month, the year, or years to come, whatever your plans are in life, to elevate yourself so that you can leave a legacy and a trust to your kids. Key words, legacy and trust. I think we got to just stop blaming it on other people and get out here and do what's right. We need to, one thing I really think that we need to do is we need to study our local government so we can know our rights. We need to understand the Constitution, what it stands for, and what it means to us. We were, or our people, shall I say, were enslaved when the Constitution was written, signed, put into motion. So to me, those words don't pertain to people like me and you. And that's a big part of the reason why you see us literally being gunned down, unarmed. And everybody's trying to understand it. They're trying to understand it. I understand it. We are only considered as 3/5 of a human being. That was put into effect after the Civil War because the South had lost. So now the North controls with their voters, their volume of voters, they control who the president will be, who will run the country. The South was running off free labor, which was us, picking cotton and all the many things that people who look like me and you did to make this country become one of the most wealthiest countries. Because back in the day, remember, it was the Europeans, the Queen, they were sitting on top. It only took America 100 years to catch up to them because of free labor. In other words, I am a barber. I cut hair. Imagine if I cut 20 heads a day for free. Who's coming up? Me or the person or people who I'm cutting for no revenue at all? So all of those years, people who look like me and you picked cotton, did things and had things happen to them that's, I can't even say unbelievable no more, because every time something happens and it happens to somebody who looks like me and you, I can't even come out my mouth with, wow, that's unbelievable. I'm not even surprised no more. It's almost like I'm immune to it. Like I know that it's going to happen, but I know why it's happening. We're not considered as real human beings in this country. We're not, but it's being covered by the people who are trying to act like they are, modest and trying to, it's.
Let's pause for a minute.
Go ahead.
Right. Okay. So let's pause for a minute. So we've established that yes, racism does exist in Virginia. We've established that it is important that Black people educate their youth, their children about the legacy, to empower them and prepare them by making sure they are knowledgeable of their history, and then prepare them by having a trust and a legacy, passing it down. But we have not talked about why. And we talked a lot about some of the issues, about how slavery has negatively impacted the Black person, and some of the things in the laws that have hindered us. But what would you say really?
This is not being passed down to these little Black kids, these Black teenagers, these Black young adults. Some of us are, like I said, I'm 50. Some of us are full-fledged adults, which means we've been through the game called life. Mm-hmm. And we don't even know. I'm still learning. I've been through, we were the original people. We were the first people here. Everything comes from us. Mm-hmm. Comes everything. Mm-hmm. I've been that a person like me and you could get together and make an all-white albino baby. Mm-hmm. But I've never seen, two Caucasians get together and make a Black child. I've never, I don't know, they got all this stuff going on, the cloning and all this, but the answer to your question, I want to get to that. Why do I think that we are not educated on ourselves? The real reason is lack of communication, and the real reason is parenting. Talked with you on the phone yesterday, and you are about to go through something that you need to be acknowledged for. You have two grown human beings, boy and girl, that you raise, and they are both. One has already gone and got their college education and is about to move forward to their PhD. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's my girl. She's married, done everything the right way. And you did that being a single parent. So it can be done. So I learned a long time ago that excuses are tools of incompetence, monuments of nothingness. And those who specialize in its uses very seldom accomplish anything. Excuses. That thanks, Group 5 Blam, for whooping that into my behind back in the 80s. Because I've carried that with me forever. I think stop with the excuses, and we need to move forward to doing what we need to do to educate ourselves and to educate these children about our history, not his story, our history, what we mean to this country, what we mean to the planet, what we mean to life. Everything is gone because you got these kids now, they're being led by people who don't even live in our households. They're being led by the Jay-Z's. They're being led by the movie stars and, these different people who are on the picture screen. That's not happening with me. I got where he's 7. Me, I'm gonna raise him. Because I control what he watches. I control what he listens to. And right now, I even can educate him. And I don't want to say control his mindset, but if he comes to me and said, Dad, X, Y, Z, I can tell him what it really is because he's asking me a question. Or maybe he's stating a statement and I have to correct it. Son, this is what you're seeing on TV. Crack this book open. This is what it really is. That needs to happen. These parents need to make sure these kids are doing their homework when they get home from school. They need to make sure they know what their grades are in school. Stop looking at these teachers like, oh, it's your job. No, it's not. The teacher is with your kids more hours out of the day than you are. So you want her to be a babysitter, an educator, and a damn parent when she's supposed to be a teacher. But you done gave her 2 other jobs. I've noticed that it takes me and Crystal to get involved with his education, make sure he's learning the right things, go out of our way to ask people questions and for ideas. Like I asked you, and you gave me, you said, look, he needs to write about what he's read. And I remember us doing that, and then the big disappointment came when you told me they don't make these kids do that no more. So another thing, education is not plentiful like it used to be in our day. Even if we did have a so-called racist teacher, we would never know, because at least that teacher, when we was doing bad in class or our grades was falling, they would get in touch with our parents. And the parents would have the chance to attack the problem then, instead of getting to the report card and, wow, you got an E. I didn't even see this coming. Where's your progress reports? I thought you said you was doing your homework. What do you mean I thought you said? You didn't check yourself, mom, dad? We have a responsibility when we bring lives into this earth. And I'm not talking like I'm perfect, because I was not the perfect father to my kids. None of them, not even Christopher. I'm never going to be that. Nobody's ever going to be that. But responsibilities, it is our job to clothe them. It is our job to feed them. It is our job to put a roof over their heads, because we brought them here. But I think some people have the attitude like, that's not our job. They got to earn that. What do you mean? You participated in going through the actions of bringing this child to the earth. I believe in one saying that kids often say, they didn't ask to be here.
That is the truth.
You got so many people now, even myself, back in the day, no responsibility, no priorities in doing what they was, in doing things the right way when it comes to bringing a child to this earth. See, it's just not a child's cute face and little fingers and the baby smell. You got a whole lot of responsibilities that go towards that responsibility. And I don't think people are stepping up. When me and you was growing up and we was walking around Camelot, the neighbor could straighten us. The village sent us home before we even get home. They done made a phone call and told everything to your mom and dad that you did down the street.
The nosy neighbors.
Right, we called them nosy, but for real, look back on it, it kind of say nosiness kind of saved us.
That is the truth.
Right. So parenting, communication, and education, proper parenting, responsible parenting.
What about, okay, so I do agree with a lot that you have stated in reference to about the responsibilities of bringing up a child, but also our Black children need to understand the importance of not following what is done on television, because they're entertainers getting paid to entertain, and a lot of time entertaining in a negative way. And our young people need to stop following it. But you're right, it does require the parents to step up and say, hey, no. That's entertainment. They're getting paid to act that way. They're getting paid to act like a thug. They're getting paid to act like, she ain't got no sense. They're getting paid to make themselves look like that and make it think that it's okay, when in reality it's not. A parent must step up and say, hey, that's not how we represent. This is, and one of my view is people can't respect you until you respect yourself. And it's always been a concern for me that we as Black people, minorities, sometimes are looked down upon. and we get mad when other races look down upon us. But yeah, we don't even respect each other and uplift each other. And we need to begin to uplift each other and
Bro,
stop degrading each other, you know.
bro,
Yes,
now we
and
get
so
grandsons and great grandsons.
mhm, mhm. And so it's important that we do teach the next generation to love themselves, love each other, support each other, and
If
to not want to kill each other.
if they knew who they really were,
Hmm.
maybe, just maybe, they would see things differently and do things differently. But
Hmm.
half of these kids out here that's out here um, doing the wrong things in life, out here gang banging and toting guns and just doing reckless things, I believe that they have a complex. I believe that they have um, insecurities about themselves.
Hmm.
You know, they think that they are the bottom of the barrel. They think that other people are superior to them because of maybe their surroundings, where they live, or how they can afford to dress, or what they've seen their single mom go through, or a lack of having a stern, upright man in their life at all times. Because I believe that the love from a mother and a father together is what really molds a child. You need that
Hmm.
loving and that and the wisdom and the caring of that woman, but you need that sternness and that knowledgeable man who makes you feel protected, you and your mother, your whole family. Like I looked at my father was my hero. I
Yeah.
seen a uniform, all those stripes and that chief hat on and how he conduct himself and how he carried himself. Now my father made some mistakes too. He wasn't perfect, but he did his job to the best of his ability. And when we got people out here not even try to do their job to the best of their ability, we got problems. And it's more um it's it's more seen in society when it comes to a black household. Oh, one of the stereotypes is that somebody from another ethnic group or race could say, "Oh, is your dad home? Do you have a full-time dad in the house?" They would
Hmm.
say that to us, but that's going on in all races. But it's certain things about us that are being publicized on the biggest stage, which is the media. They want people to think that we're animals. They want people to think that our kids are stupid. They want, even in sports, they want black men to think that you're not good enough or smart enough to play the position of quarterback. You know, not smart enough to be a head coach. You're not smart enough to be a general manager. You're not smart enough to own an NBA team or NFL team, and so on and so forth. And you got people growing up in this till it becomes like, I want to say, everything that they want to instill in you to set you back has been installed by the time you become 18. In the back of your mind, you look at a white person and you, somewhere in you, it's a feeling of, oh, they're up here, we're down here. I got to conduct myself differently now because I'm around them. And if the police come, he gonna shoot somebody who look like me before he shoots somebody who look like them. Because if he pulls up, he gonna see this skin tone and feel like, oh, they must be the threat.
The subliminal messages.
You grow up around that, it will become a part of you, no matter how much in your mind you say, I don't believe in that.
Hmm.
It's just like if you hang out at a crack house, eventually you want to sell it or smoke it.
Mm-hmm.
If you go there every day, eventually you will. It's an old saying, birds of a feather flock together. So if I went to the crack house with my friend that really smoked crack and I don't, what you think everybody else gonna believe when they see me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, if you hung around a girl that was a little faster than you, people thought you was up to that too.
Mm-hmm. That is true. You had to be very careful of the people that you hung around and so forth. And it's in everything that we do. We have to be cautious of the people we hang around and the things that we allow to influence our minds, you know, and our hearts. So now that we've established that, yes, there is racism in Virginia, and there's a lot of issues going on, a lot of subliminal messages that families and young people are dealing with. For time's sake, you know, I want you to tell me, what advice would you give young people and other families, Black families that are struggling, you know, and feeling defeated, feeling like, well, yeah, it's good they saying all this stuff, but you know what? They don't know my story. They don't know what I'm dealing with. What would you
Right.
say to them in reference to how to overcome and decide to unify and work together as human beings that believe in unity and strength? But they're struggling.
For one, let me just address this. Everybody's situation is not the same. You know, you got people out here that don't know where they're going to sleep day to day, night to night, don't know where they're going to get their next meal, don't know if they're going to take a bath. So they're living, going through all of this trauma. And when you're going through this trauma, you're not motivated to really do anything positive but survive. So I would say this. I know this for a fact. If you want to change your life, you have to change the nouns in your life. The people you hang around, the places you go, and the things that you do in life. You have to change those. Whatever direction you're going in, you want to be around people who are going in that same direction. Wherever you go, when it comes to going places, hanging out, you need to be in some positive places. And then you need to start thinking of some positive things to do, to perform in life. If you can change those three things in your life will change for the better. And I am a product of that. I'm a product of that. That's why I had to get away from down there. And I had to put good people in my life, and I try to keep those same people here. I got my niece here, and she's about to leave, but she came for the weekend and get in. Her name is Latoya Morris.
Hi, Latoya.
Wearing a mask. She being
safe.
I'm about to leave, and you have my time right now, so excuse me as I give my niece a hug.
Absolutely. Family love. Family is important.
Prayers for her and my nephew-in-law and my second niece, which is her child. Here she comes now. We call her Dukes, but her name is Naja. Come on. Love.
And this is a real example of what family is supposed to be.
Right.
No matter what.
Little Naja, I love you.
Come on, be hug.
And y'all drive safe.
All right, I'll call you when I get home.
Okay.
Tell mama to step out and let her rest, okay?
So
Enjoy.
back to the matter at hand, and it's still fresh on my mind when we left off. In order to change this, it goes to the beginning. Young ladies, you have to be more responsible with who you date and who you choose to be physical with when it comes to, okay, y'all drive safe. When it comes to sex, because bringing these kids into this world with no type of stability. And what I'm saying is you've engaged with a father or the father of your child who doesn't even want to be in your life as well as the child's life. And I say this to women. I know I'm not woman bashing right now.
Mhm.
I just know that the woman is the queen. And any woman who is the same age as a man has him mind, body, and soul by at least 5 years. She's the more intelligent, mature one. She is. And she has a say-so of who gets her precious jewels and how they get it at the end of the day. Because if she don't, it's rape, it's a crime. So at the end of the day, whoever you say yes to or agree to, you need not to settle for less. I'm talking to my daughters when I say this. I'm talking to you when I say this. I'm talking to any woman out there, Black, white, Hispanic, whatever. You have to be.
Wait, King. Don't get too deep in that, because that's going to be our next topic about relationship. So, remember, like, we're not going to go there yet. We're not going to go there. We're just talking about how do our Black brothers and sisters, our minorities, build each other up, and I do agree that, every young queen, as she's rising, she needs to be cautious, because these babies coming in, unless we're willing to educate them, we need to make sure we change things. We need to start stopping this generational curse and cycle of what was done to us during slavery times. We need to be smarter, more educated, and more perseverant to overcome the negatives,
Right.
So what would you tell to the young men that are not doing and being a good example? And they are our future, but yet they're watching all these foolishness on television.
I'm going to tell them this. Do the very best that you can do with the time that you have here on this ball called Earth. Life is short. Make a difference. Make a difference. Don't go through life being ignorant, being violent, being disrespectful, lying to yourself and other people. I'm on a podcast.
I tell you, I love you. You and your realness and the,
Yeah,
tell Prince I say, hey.
Little or something, and I don't want to be.
It's all right, man. It's all right. But this is real. We're real people with real lives, real scenarios, and real conversations. And this is a real conversation.
All that fake stuff, man. Hey.
Nah, you and I have never. Yeah.
Another way.
Yeah. And that's one thing I've always appreciated about is that you've always been straight up. You've never been phony about anything. But go on, finish about the young men, the advice you would tell them about, having a plan and not being violent. Go on.
That they are kings, that whatever they seek out in life to do, that they can do it. Yes, we may have it a little harder, but it can be done. You control your own destination in life. You're going to have screw ups. You're going to make mistakes. That's life. Mistakes make you better because they show you what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem falls where we know what the mistakes are and we continue to do it. Like we know something is bad, but we roll the dice. Why do we roll the dice? Because it's showing just how much our lives mean to us, which is nothing. Anytime you're willing to risk something that is going to destroy you as a person, is going to destroy your criminal record or your health or your freedom, or for that matter, a kid that you may leave here on earth because you do something that puts yourself in the way of death, or you do something that puts yourself in a way of incarceration, you still got these kids out here that need a father. And I don't think that's being taken serious. And then some of these females trying to play the kids. Listen, most of the time, you knew this dude wasn't going to be around for the rest of your life, no way, but you decided to put yourself in a predicament to where a kid was going to be made. There's birth control. There's the word no. There's other solutions for that. And I think right now, I think that most of these kids out here now, they sleeping with each other before they know each other's middle name. Yeah, we're humans and we are sexual. That's how we got here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an order. And once again, let's go back. It's a responsibility. If you know you are not ready to take care of no daggone child, don't let me hear you say, oh, I don't like having sex with a condom. You stupid. It's just that simple, because that's what you put yourself in a predicament to do if you don't, at least know about sex.
Mm-hmm. And then it continues a generation of children that don't know, children coming into this world that don't have a respect for self, don't have a respect for race, don't have a respect for culture. And we're only looking at self and not looking at, like, you going back to what you said in the beginning about trust, legacy, and communicating for the future. We're only looking at the now and not, well, what is my impact? Every decision we make, like Dr. King says, every person has a cosmic effect. Every decision we're making right now impacts how our people will look, our children will look.
You just said something that was key. You said everybody's looking at now. You know why people live their lives, these young adults that look like us live their life for now? Is because they know they don't have a future. That's a damn shame. People like me grew up knowing that we had a future.
And knowing that we had to work hard. And even though things were going to be hard, we knew about persevering and not quitting. We knew we had to work harder than everybody else. We knew we had to sacrifice, and we may have made some foolish decisions, but in the end, I thank God for grace and mercy, and that we are now willing to make a positive difference and teach the next generation. I'll never forget something you said to me when I was in Northern Virginia, and you said, Shirley, use that education and teach the next generation. You teach them about us and fight for us. You say, and you kept telling me, you say, you got all this degree, and I'm like, I know, right? And, and I really took that, I've always thought about it because, I have wonderful mentors that have always told me, you got to teach the next generation. But hearing it come from somebody my age that was like, and people don't know your story, but things you've been through, and you always just, you've always been a cheerleader, but like, encouraging me to make sure that those less fortunate always knew, and you always kept me humble. I will say that, you always kept me humble. And I thank God for you for that. And I thank God for Crystal. She's a good woman, and so forth. And so I appreciate that you and I had this opportunity to be able to be real for the world to see, to be able to make that positive impact, to be able to talk to our young children, the male and the female, the young and the old, because we got some people our age who still don't have no sense and still acting like they back in high school. And it's time we start all growing up and start making a difference and having respect for self, having respect for our culture, our people, and what we look like, in society.
They gave in. A lot of people have thrown the towel in. They just saying, you know what? I'm just gonna stay out the way and breathe until I stop breathing. And
But
that's
what kind of a life is
a lot of these kids need to know who they really are, where they really come from. And that's not, it's in a book, but not in these school books more so than, because I'm gonna leave you with this one. Because I don't know if we have much time, but I remember growing up when the big question was asked in the classroom, who discovered electricity? Benjamin Franklin. It was the kite with the little key on it, you know. And then I'm glad you remember it. I'm on the podcast. Then we got asked who discovered America, and they said Christopher Columbus, right? And then they gave us a test, and on the paper it said who discovered America, and Christopher Columbus. That was a lie. So every time my teacher marked that problem correct, they were selling me some BS, because I often wonder on the field trip from Camelot that we took to Jamestown up near Williamsburg, right? Hey, so you saying Pocahontas was here and then there was some pilgrims and there was some Indians and stuff? How you discover it then?
How were the Native Americans there first?
Right. How you discover something that was already there, was people already there? So, man, we could go on and on. This is
we could, yeah.
About, how our history is being whitewashed. From the pyramids that we built, and we built them so good that we forgot how we did it. But I took calculus. I know that it took algebra. I know it took all those things that me and you learned in school in order to build those things. And then you look at the certain things that are over there that have been defaced. Ask yourself why? Because you don't want everybody to know that that looks like one of our noses, some of our lip. And you got all these artifacts in Europe. It came from Africa. I could go on and on, but it's not enough time in the day. And the main objective is, I think that we'd be better off if we really knew who we were, where we came from, what we stand for, who our forefathers were and ancestors were. And if the communication was there from a parent's mouth or auntie's mouth or a grandparent's mouth or a great grandparent or whoever the elder is in the family that passes down that knowledge, I think that needs to come back. Those conversations with those children. Sit down, let me tell you about this. But these children need to be provoked to pick up a book and get some literature that does not necessarily come from the school system, because we all know who controls the curriculum. You just got finished running. That superintendent.
We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there right now.
Right.
We're gonna pause. We're gonna pause.
Controls the curriculum from which your child learns.
And the truth is, a lot of parents should be providing information.
Yeah.
And so like you said, the importance of spreading that legacy. I know families that have talked to their children and taught the children.
Hold on.
And so, and that is so important.
Can you go get the little brown book that I bought you? You remember it? And I had you read it, and it had all the people in there that look like you. Can you go get that book for me so I can show Miss Shirley what I'm doing by doing this now? He's about to go get a book that I bought from a young brother in the barbershop one day that published the book. And this book is to show kids like Christopher, or who look like Christopher, and maybe downstairs on my in the man cave on the little center thing, but look downstairs and see if you can find it, please. I'll tell you later. These kids need to stop just reading material that's coming from these schools. There are other materials out there. So let's get these kids back in the library. I said something about them knowing their local rights. That's a big thing that they need to be up on now too. What are your rights in the state of Virginia, which is the topic that we're talking about, being a Black male or being Black in Virginia? I can say this too. If you can, that's the one. If you conduct yourself a certain way, here's the book that I bought my son. This is not.
Who's the author?
Right. The author is
Jacob L. Carter. It's called Who Am I? For CarterBooks.com. All right.
And
thank you for sharing.
This is some of the content in what you're going to see when you open the book. And I also had him, you know, I had him sign it.
Good.
And I bought this for Christopher when Christopher couldn't read. But I saved it. And now he's in the 2nd grade, but he's reading on a 4th grade level.
I know.
He's been accepted to Gifted and Talented.
And that is awesome.
Because that's something that me and his mother did.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna pat myself back.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. And we just need to do more. Like the energy that we get by going to church, use that energy to get your child some more books that will teach him about him. The energy that we use to go to the club, or we use to make it to the store to get those Jordans that just dropped an hour ago. Let's channel some of this same energy and put it into our children so they can know who they are, because they running around thinking that they at the low end of the barrel, that they don't really mean nothing to this world, and that they not going to be anything. So now you got all these young ladies on social media bent over showing their private parts and twerking and asking people for money through Cash App and da-da-da-da. And you got guys in the rap game and these young men around here wearing their pants hanging off their hind parts. It embarrasses me by being the color that I am when I see that. I see these young ladies on social media and they be bent over and just doing the most. And what they don't realize is one of these days, real soon, when somebody go to Google you, all that crap you put on social media gonna pop up. The pictures, you bent over twerking and all that. So how does your kid feel that's in junior high school right now and his mama on Instagram, you know, getting her TikTok on? So we just, it's a lot of things we need to work on. It's a lot of, and we not close. I ain't gonna cut no corners with it. So right now, my main objective is I have grown children. I got one baby left. I'm 50 years old. He's 7. He'll be 8 in a couple of months. I'll be 1 in a few months. I do not want to leave this world without giving him the proper instructions, the proper education, and the proper tools in order for him to proceed where I left off so he can be way better than me.
Amen to that.
to leave him a legacy and a trust, not a bill for a funeral home. I don't want to be on Facebook or one of my family members or his mama to be on Facebook asking for money to put me in a hole. And if you spend more than $5,000 on me for a funeral, you spent too much. Tell him that. Ain't no casket gonna keep the bugs out. That's not me no more in the box. That was what I used to travel around on this ball called Earth with. But my soul is gone. I had to realize that when my father passed, one of the hardest times in my life, and I'm still grieving it. But I understand. Another thing, understanding situations make things more better. And that's why people always chase closure when it comes to something bad, because they want to know why. People go through bad relationships and they break up, and the woman or the guy will start questioning themselves. Well, dang, did I look good enough? Did my breath stink? Did I have too much? Why did she leave me? Or why did he leave me? If you thing right that you were supposed to do, and a person did something to you in a relationship, they did that shit because they wanted to. It ain't have nothing to do with you.
And on that note, we're going to stop right there because you're going to be, I know, and hopefully Chris will be feeling better so she can join us on our next segment of relationships and so forth. That will be tying into my book, as you know, Surviving Singleness. But I want to thank you, King, for taking the time to talk with us about being Black in Virginia and just everything that you've touched on, which is not easy for the world to want to hear because we're so caught up on not hurting people's feelings and being so soft, is what I would call it. It's like, you know, everything is, oh, I don't want to talk about that. Oh, you know, be careful. It might ruin your reputation, or, oh, you know, you might offend somebody, you know, but the truth is, you know, we have issues. Being Black in Virginia, we don't even want to talk about being Black in the United States. Being a Black Hispanic in Virginia is not easy. The issues, the situations, the things I could talk about, the things I could say of why we need to make this world a better place, how and why we need to speak up, why and how we need to teach our younger generation how to be better, to do better. And it all starts with education, teaching our young people about unity, respecting of diversity, respecting of people who looks different and talk different. And it also starts with loving thyself. When we do that, and we are not just saying, hey, no, that's old news. There are things that are still happening because of what happened from slavery days. We might not be in slavery, but people are still enslaved mentality. We are still captured in our minds. We are enslaved in our, and we need to break those bondage, and we need to empower, uplift, affirm, and support one another, as well as, you know, the Black community, the Black Hispanic community. And when we start doing that and stop thinking that Blacks are all the way at the bottom of the barrel, and it's okay to blast all negatives of Black people on the news, we hunting this person down, the shooting and here and there. When we stop all of that and everybody is treated with respect and treated equally, then I think the world will start being a much better place. But I want to say thank you, King. I look forward to the next segment. And I want to just say thank you to little Christopher, little Prince, for being so patient. And my prayers are with Crystal that she's feeling better, you know. But again, thank you so much. So I'm going to let you say goodbye. And you want to say goodbye to the people?
Goodbye, everybody. Be safe, be conscious, live, love, laugh, and pass down some knowledge to these kids. For real. I know sometimes we get impatient because we see things going on today and we don't even want to intertwine with certain things. We don't want to deal with certain things, or, put ourselves in certain situations as to what's going on today with these kids. But the rapper, Lil Baby, said it's bigger than black and white. It's bigger than black and white. Can't change overnight. But we got to start somewhere. Might as well start right here. And that's not necessarily how the hook went. But I'm just saying all of the good things about it. We got to start. Where are we going to start? We're going to keep waiting. So it was a pleasure to be up here with Miss Shirley PA, the lady with all the paperwork. Y'all need to check her paperwork. Her paperwork is in there. You know what I'm saying? And she went out there and got that. And one more thing, Shirley, I'm very surprised to hear that you went through so many things, because you always been pretty, number one.
Oh, thank you.
In our community, there are people who would say, man, you need to get you a light-skinned girl. They don't go through as much. Or pretty. And look at her hair. But I had no idea that even in history, the lighter-skinned one got treated a little better, right? I didn't know.
They say that, but the truth is, there's always been this hate between light skin and dark skin, which I don't understand, because you know what? No matter what people say, I've been through some crap. I've, been treated like crap. And sometimes I think it's worse being somebody like me because of the fact you don't belong in any group. When they find out that you're really a part of one group, you're really not a part of that group. You're not a part of this group. You really, it depends on who you talk to, and so it's like, that's why I'm so big on not judging people. And I always say, don't pass judgment. Don't judge people by the way they look. So as I close out, I want people to know, respect everybody. Don't just look at what you see, because you don't know everybody's story. You don't know what people have gone through. And you must respect people. And we must love, when we begin to be humankind, then the world will be a better place. When we stop stereotyping, profiling, and doing what entertainers are doing, then this world will be a better place. There are entertainers and there are real folks. Let's acknowledge the real folks that are working hard and to do right. With that being said, it's been real. It's been real. But,
you already know. I enjoyed it. I look forward to answering some more questions on more topics.
Absolutely. That being said,
you need to link up, man.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Dr. Shirley out. Dr. Shirley out. Peace and love.